Hello, good afternoon. So I'm back out today having a forage, and what came to my mind to come and collect was the red clover. Last year I started to understand more about the red clover, and it was more to do because I was doing research, continue personal development, and I chose to do menopause and the impacts that menopause can have on a woman. And because I come from that natural background, I was looking at what herbs can help a person, and although there are different ones out there, what seemed to come up a lot was red clover. And I did last year grow some. Even though you get it out and about, I decided to grow some. It's quite invasive, so I had to dig it up because I grew it in my my herb box, one of my herb boxes. And I did at that time dry some and turn it into a tincture, which I do have. And it's come back to me this year because I'm looking at things that I have and I want to get it in its natural form. You can eat the clover in small amounts, the leaves and flowers. And when today I was just looking at like other uses for it, I did write some things down, which I'll go over. So the red clover is, the bees love it. There's many uses for it, in the sense it's very packed full of minerals and vitamins. When I was reading, I came across like some of its actions, and what it said was it's alteratives, and that's herbs used for blood cleansing. It's a diuretic, which encourages the production of urine, especially if you have a lot of water retention. The expectorant, it supports the removal of excess mucus and catarrel in the respiratory system. And a tonic, so it strengthens and supports a system or organ. And the good thing about the red clover is that it can be used long term because of its gentle actions, and it can take a long time to give you that nourishing support for the body. So what else? When I was reading, it says that because of its very mineral rich, that it is favoured amongst herbalists, not just for to relieve symptoms of hot flushes and mood swings. It was used for the mineral density, because when women go through the menopause, they lose minerals in the bones, so they're susceptible to osteoporosis. So I'll show you what I wrote. So herbalists use red clover for its gentle, mineral-rich alternative and diuretic actions that influence the lymphatic system for cleansing the lymph glands, breast tissue and skin. It's used for painful breasts and armpits, particularly associated with hormonal issues. Its clearing action means it is also used as a remedy for clearing troublesome skin problems such as acne, eczema and psoriasis. The red clover is favoured for alleviating menstrual symptoms. It contains phytoestrogens within the plant, they're plant hormones, and they help to balance the hormones, and they help to relieve hot flushes, breast pain and irritability. Its high mineral content can help with bone density loss around the menopause. Because of its gentle and steady action, it can be used over a long period of time to benefit from its therapeutic effects. There was other things. I think some herbalists like to use this with children's respiratory complaints because of its gentle actions. There are a lot of other herbs out there that are used at the time of menopause, and one of them that I wrote down was, and I remember this actually, it's sage. So sage, I remember women when I was younger used to talk about using sage to help them combat the hot flushes. So it's came around again, and there is this nice tea blend that I will add in the description, but this one's like very cleansing and nourishing. So this tea is nourishing to the body and cleansing to the lymph glands, used for painful breast and skin problems. So you can take it as a tea. And this recipe did call for, so I think this recipe is to make a jar full, so you've got to use on hand. So it was like 25 grams of dried clover flowers, 25 grams of dried cleavers, which they do grow. I collected them last year. 25 grams of dried calendula flowers, which I have growing in the garden, and 25 grams of dried oat straw, which I don't have, and 25 grams of nettle leaves. I think I do have some of them. So you can mix this all together, put it into a clean jar, and seal it, label it and date it, and you will get a year lifespan on that. You can have it longer. I've had teas longer, but they do lose their therapeutic properties. So they reckon that within that year the properties are still going to be very strong, especially if it's stored in a dark place. And what I like to do is get one of the wee oxygen packets, and then I just put that in the jar, and that absorbs anything that shouldn't be there. So I just wanted to share that part with you. So the parts used are the aerial parts, which are the flowers and the leaves, and restore. So yeah, over time they do restore the proper function of the body and increase health and vitality. And with anything, I don't believe there's one cure. I think we're very holistic beings, and we go through life. Our body has to age and die. It's part of the process of life. We're very, we come with a mind, we come with emotions, we come with physical body. So it's like treating yourself, the person, holistically, and it's finding supportive, natural ways to help us along in our life. And it doesn't mean that we're never going to get sick or we're never going to get aches and pains. Of course we are, because that's part of life. We experience things, we experience losses, we experience trauma, we experience stress, but it's how we support ourselves and overcome these challenges. And that's why I love the counselling aspect of things, the sound healing aspect of things, the food, nutrition, but herbs as well, because they're very powerful, and everything in moderation. It's finding the right dosage for yourself, and of course it's having days where we don't have anything. It's having days where we're just having water, cleansing ourselves naturally, even fasting. There's a place for fasting the body to help ourselves. And I was probably drawn to this red clover because obviously I'm a female and one day will go through menopause, and it is a very big change of life. We're built to be able to cope with this and go through life, but I think it depends a lot on your history, what experiences you've had, if you've worked through things, if you know yourself, how stressed you've been, how busy you are. These things all impact how we're going to be able to deal with menopause when it comes round. So you've got your before, your perimenopause, and then you've your menopause and you're through it. So there are big changes, and our hormones do have a lot to play in the way that we feel, but also it can be a time of big change within women. So things can come up for women psychologically, not just physically, of course, because we're going through things physically, but emotionally, spiritually. It's a whole different meaning. And I think it's just being able to support ourselves, and especially when we're losing the estrogen, the progesterone, it is making women more prone to bone disease, like brittle bone disease. We're vulnerable for our mood, sleep. So if we're not getting our sleep, of course we're going to be irritable, not functioning good. So that's why it's good to prepare now, and think a little bit if you're not in that stage already. but how can you look after yourself? How can you support your body? How can you, are you stretching? Are you getting out? Are you getting some sort of weight-bearing exercise? How is your stress? Do you work a lot? Are you overworked? Because it's like being mindful of your life, looking at your life, and do I really need this in my life? What's important to me? So it's almost like having a clear out and then preparing ourselves for when that time comes. So if you're out and about, if you don't want to pick or forage just yet, that's okay. I just want you to be mindful of what grows. So the clover, and when you can just have the clover on its own, or you can blend it, like I suggested, with other herbs, other plants, because that's going to enhance the therapeutic properties. And there's lots of it scattered around meadows. And when you are picking things, just make sure it's not on a busy road, because then it's going to be contaminated. Make sure it's not damaged. Possibly, I know animals urinate and things, but if you're just getting stuff that's a bit further up, but there's lots of lovely things. So I just wanted to share that with you. So you can drink this as a tea, you can take it as a tincture, and you can eat it as well. It's not overly flavourful. So it's not really too much of anything, really. It's quite balanced. Hard to describe. Palatable. So I hope you find this useful. I'll just pick a few, and I still like the idea of ointment, so if it is good for skin, I do have a friend who has quite bad skin issues, so I think even just recommending them to drink some, a nice cup of tea, and possibly I'll make another healing balm and give that as a gift to help them. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.